My name is Vaughn Peters. I am half Irish, half German. Grew up just outside of Westmount. I'm Catholic. I went to Loyola High School, which there's a fair number of Irish Catholics and Protestants that go. I took Irish dancing for about a year when I was 17. Music and dance and story centered. It's very important growing up. I know growing up when I listened to a lot of music. There was always music playing in my house. My mother always liked to tell stories, not necessarily Irish stories, but just telling stories. The ballads of Ireland, are very famous and well known. There's a lot of really good songs, really good ballads written that have come from Ireland and written a lot of good authors. It's the arts are extremely important in Irish culture. Religion was a reasonably large part of my youth and growing up. Like I said, I did my teaching from a Catholic point of view. Religion did play a big part. I was actually part of the pastoral team, so you know what? I can say I know my Catholic religion quite well. The Irish Society and St. Patrick's Society are mostly charitable organizations. Like, charity is a big part of Irish culture, and caring for your fellow man. So both the United Irish Society and the St. Patrick's Society undertake different fundraising endeavors throughout the year. For the St. Patrick's Society, their big event is the St. Patrick's Ball, which takes place near and around St. Patrick's Day, where it's a big black tie affair. I've been a couple times. It's a great event, and the United Irish Society, their claim to fame is that they've been running the St. Patrick's Parade since 1929. Actually, St. Patrick's Parade is the longest-running St. Patrick's Day parade in the world. It's been running since 1874, but it's been run by the United Irish Society since 1929. There's a large Irish population in Montreal, and so I think the United Irish Society and St. Patrick's Society and societies like that is, I guess, a way of Irish people to keep their values, keep their culture alive, and through it do good works for the community. I can super have as well. I mean, I do enjoy I enjoy my beer as well, so to speak. But as for consumers, I know for the family values of the Irish, they're very kid-centered. They're very kid-centered. So Irish parents will generally spend money on their children before they spend money on themselves. Okay. As for their shopping habits, they would, there's kind of like a difference between the now generation and previous generations. I'm not sure if there is much difference between, say, young Irish adults necessarily, especially in Montreal, because we're so multicultural here. Okay. And everybody's kind of intermingled. 40% of all Quebecers have some trace of Irish in their past. Okay. So it's that's huge. Yeah, it's like there was one. This was I think in Montreal alone, I think 161,235 people. I did a little bit of research. I think this is somewhere 161,000 Montrealers, as well as 48.5% of English-speaking Montrealers have Irish. That's ancestry. A huge portion of the population. Yeah, it's pretty big, and and Irish culture, because there are several waves of Irish culture. Okay. In Quebec, back when it was New France, they came over to help settle. Okay. And then there was during the Irish famine, the potato famine in Ireland. Yes. There was a huge amount of Irish that came over and settled, in the eastern townships, in parts of Ontario, Montreal. Okay. Settled in places like Point St. Charles, Griffintown, Verdun. And from there, obviously they married. They married. Also within the Irish culture, but also they married all over. So, there's a lot, what we call Quebec culture now, a lot of it, if you listen to a lot of Quebec music, there are a lot of Irish influences into that music. There's a lot of, even in Quebec dancing, traditional Quebec music and dance, there's Irish influence in there. So as for the consumer side, the young Irish person, if something that would distinguish them, because it's so kind of almost entrenched in Quebec culture. Yeah. Whereas, for the older generation, like my parents, up until basically up until they retired. But my mom was very very frugal and saved a lot of her money. I know my grandmother and grandfather on my mom's side did the same thing. They were savers. They lived well within their means. To appeal to someone from that generation, it would have to be a product that they would have to see as necessary.
Okay, so it would have to be something that they would need. It's
Exactly,
not necessarily frivolous spending.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for wants for their children, so it's like if you're kind of appealing to that age bracket, or that, you would maybe try to appeal for something for their children, because they would they would spend more on their children. They would spend more on their children for something they would want more than what they would want.
Do you think that the consumer needs of the Irish culture are being met in Montreal? Do you feel as though there is something missing? Could more be done?
Well, I mean, I'm in a minority because I kind of like all the traditional Irish culture stuff, and it's it's kind of hard. But I'm definitely a minority in that none of them were playing traditional Irish music. They were playing like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson. You have to go to the tourist pub to hear the Irish music.
Okay, interesting.
So for me, I mean, there's nowhere really you can really get traditional Irish stuff. But as to whether that's a real consumer need, I don't think so, because there used to be a place that sold a lot of traditional Irish things, and it closed down, unfortunately. So I think it's... Okay. I think for the most part, the needs of your Irish consumer are being met, because
they're more assimilated into North American culture.
Yes, I think to a certain extent. There's the social aspect of going to the pub. You'll never lose that part of Irish culture. I don't think,
of course,
because that's in many ways the pub culture is kind of like the social gather. A lot of the Irish pubs, the true Irish pubs, they don't have as many TVs as, say, some of your other other places, because the whole family went to the pub. Parents, kids, or just the boys would go, and it'd be a very social. It was your social time. And, you went to the pub to socialize, to relax, to and it doesn't matter if you were a friend or a stranger, you'd be greeted kindly with open arms and warm hearts.
What should someone do to introduce themselves to the culture?
Listen to the music, or the music of Ireland, even music of Celtic influence. There's a lot of Canadian bands that have a lot of Celtic influence, Great Big Sea, Spirit of the West. But if you listen to traditional Irish music, by bands like the Dubliners, I'm not going to say U2, because U2 it's kind of U2's kind of has that whole rock thing. But if you listen to the traditional Dublin, the Dubliners, the Dublin City Ramblers, the Clancy Brothers, you'll hear in the songs of Ireland. It's one of four things. It's going to be about drinking, love/lust. I mean, Ireland has some of the most beautiful love songs here, but also they have the ones that about the shadier, seedier side of attraction. They have songs about rebellion, because a lot of Ireland's past and history is steeped in rebellion, and of course there's the songs that tell a story, and I think Ireland tells a story better than almost anyone in the world. Any Irishman you meet who still believes that can tell you a really good story, and that is the thing. The ballads, being able to tell a story and to warm your heart and to make you feel like you're really part of that.